So Ross, good to see you. Firstly, how have you and your family been?
Well, so far, frustrated like everybody else and stuck in a bit of a surreal way of life. Our biggest hiccup, or two hiccups, I suppose, for us at the moment have been learning about homeschooling, both from a teacher's perspective, which I've become in the last little while, and my wife has as well. Obviously, tough for the kids to learn that at the same time. And my little boy got chicken pox, so obviously set us back. Fortunately, so far he hasn't suffered too badly with the illness that comes with it. It's just the spot. So we've got our fingers crossed that we come out the other side of that illness for him, and it doesn't leave him too vulnerable, obviously.
In terms of your contact with the first team squad and staff behind the scenes, how's that been? Is everyone still in good shape?
Yeah, everyone's in good shape and spirits. Obviously, we suffered some effects of the virus. You know, two people struck down with it. Others that had some symptoms. That I think we got to a point where you hope that it wasn't anything more than just having the symptoms and having an illness that we all pick up from time to time during this time of year. But we're on the mend, or those players are on the mend. The one or two of them are now allowed back outside again. One or two of them are allowed to start some physical exercise, which is obviously really important for the players to be able to do. As easy as contact is with people these days, it does become difficult to constantly be in contact with 26 players and all the staff around it. But I'm doing my best, and I think we've got some real good help in terms of the staff around me being able to make contact with the players as well. So we're in regular contact every day, or if not every other day, depending on the size of the group that you've got to sort of to have that contact with. So I think we've done it pretty well so far, but obviously it still appears that we're only in the early stages of it.
In terms of the kind of general day-to-day life, how are you dealing with the kind of lockdown and getting through the days indoors?
A little bit like, I suppose, it's becoming a little bit cliche. Try to have a little bit of a routine about it. I suppose this is a time when you're lucky to have the kids at home because you've got to have structure for them. So we get up in the morning and we do a Joe Wicks workout, which I'm sure a lot of people have come into contact with. But it's been a brilliant start to the day and starts us off in that good headspace and gets us focused on what comes. And then we have our day split up into sort of blocks where we help the kids with their schoolwork, or they're left to crack on with some tasks that are set by school, depending on the particular thing and whether they're strong or weak within that. And how that works out and pans out depends on what type of my work I can fit in during that part of the day. When they're given their breaks, I'm straight on the laptop, watching games of football. Spent a lot of time this week sort of analysing what I've been about, really, and watching some of my coaching sessions back, and that sort of thing, and trying to sort of get my teeth into the things that I don't always get time to do. So I've spent a lot of time before this week watching the top teams. We spent some time watching Atletico, watching Liverpool, Man City. We've spent some time this week looking at some Championship clubs. So to get a bit of an opportunity to watch other football, because my time's normally spent analysing us or watching what our opposition are going to be about. So it's been a real good opportunity to pick up on what some of the top clubs are doing.
Well, we've had a lot of questions in on social media from supporters, so we'll jump into a few of them. You mentioned there, obviously, with your kids. Ben Boatman's asked if you've got any tips for keeping two footy-mad toddlers entertained.
Oh, I have actually. As everyone knows, I'm not a massive social media person, but I have got an Instagram account that I keep locked away and personal. But for anybody that does follow me on that, my little boy goes to a soccer school session that I still coach on sometimes. We set it up about 3 years ago. And obviously he's without his football fix at the moment. So every Saturday morning, me and him get up and we put together some little videos on things that people can practice in the garden. So if you want anything from a PE perspective, we're out there using all different apparatus in the garden. I'm quite lucky that the garden's of a good size and he's got a little five-a-side goal that he can kick about in there. But we use the tree to bounce the ball off. We've got a ladder that we use as a bit of an obstacle. We've put together some quite good videos that we're using. But I think for me, like, outside of that, it's about trying to give them a little bit of structure. I think it's easy to forget how much of a strange period this is for the kids. So it's trying to give them their little bit of release, that if they want to go and play on their computer games, or they want to watch YouTube, or they want to phone their mates, they still get the opportunity to do the things that they do when they're indoors on a normal, on a normal day, or at the weekend, or in the evening. And then at the same time, we need to make sure that we give them the structure of sitting down around the table and on a laptop, or with their workbooks out, working towards something, to make sure that we keep helping towards their education. So on a light-hearted front, the videos are out there, and Ben, I'm more than happy to share them with you, and anybody else at that fact. But at the same time, it's about still trying to give them a little bit of structure and discipline to work towards.
Perfect. The lowdown of us on the back of that. Which subjects are you enjoying teaching the kids that isn't PE?
I'm not great at maths, so I'm really enjoying working with my 7-year-old on maths, because he's probably about my level. My daughter's studying a lot of stuff about polar bears, the Arctic, all different things like that. And then in the last couple of days, what's been really great is my little boy's English topics have been around some poetry. And he stumbled upon someone called Michael Rosen. I don't know how common that name is, or if people are aware of him, but on YouTube, his teachers have set him some work around studying some of the poetry that he does. And the guy's really expressive, comes up with some really creative stories, poems about, for the kids to really relate to. And I know that Oliver's really, really liked some of that. And today it was about him taking away one of his videos and coming back, replicating or copying some of the actions that came out of it, because he's so expressive. So I'd encourage anyone to look up on YouTube Michael Rosen, because he's someone that's really come alive in our house over the last couple of days.
So one from Jason again on Twitter. He's asked if the fans will see more younger players starting in the first team lineup, and what thoughts you have on Diego Dunbar's impact in the youth team.
I think always looking, and I think it's a massive part of what our club's always been about. Is trying to bring young players through, and I think, albeit there's probably not been a huge amount of debuts this year, there's been appearances of the young players in the team and in the squad, which is obviously a massive part of their development. Ultimately, they've got to be ready, and ultimately they've got to be better than the players that we've got in the first team squad already. And we also have to take into consideration, when you use somebody like Diego or any of those young boys as examples, it's very unusual, very unique for someone so young to get an opportunity in the first team. Diego played in a couple of pre-season friendlies, which at the time he was somebody that the youth team felt was progressing well through the pre-season, and also it fitted for us in terms of the position that we were looking for on those occasions. But there's a number of the young players that have trained with us throughout the season. Whenever we're looking, or we're low on numbers, or there's injuries, the first thing we do is call a young player, or on occasions 2 or 3 of them over. And Diego's one that does come across with us. But I think there's a number of players in that group already that are showing real potential of creating themselves opportunities in the longer term. But I wouldn't say that Diego is somebody to pick out any more than any of the others at the moment. First and foremost is because we've got Jaden Sweeney, Joe Widdowson, James Brophy, Shadrach, who can all play in that position. So he's got a hell of a lot of competition to try and get across or over at the moment. But it's always something that I'm looking at.
One over to Instagram now, and Luke Stockley's asked, what's the best match you've been a part of? And that could be
since being here. My favourite game last season was Eastleigh, in terms of the actual game and the drama, because we put a hell of a lot of focus on stopping McCallum in the box and how dangerous Eastleigh were from crosses, and for us to let ourselves down and go and let him get the 2 goals that we did in the first half. But the manner in which we came back and the way that we scored the goals and the drama that went with that night was something that I really, really enjoyed. But I think the Sutton game's got to take some beating. As much as the ecstasy of the final whistle going against Braintree will be something that forever lives with me. That moment, that craziness that went on in the Sutton away game, for drama is probably something that I'll never forget. I think we'll all like to forget the Braintree game because it wasn't much to write home about or get excited about from anybody's perspective. But obviously, what it meant when the final whistle went was so amazing. But for an actual all-round game, the way it all panned out, Eastleigh, but I think the drama, the Sutton game is one to remember. I think one that people always forget about as well is one that might jog people's memories. Is the home game against Eastleigh in our first season when we scored in the 97th minute. That was completely bonkers. And I think little moments like that are great. But then I'm over talking it now because I've done all of that, and then I've just remembered the Mansfield game. So I think Mansfield this season, I'm going to put all of that away, and I'm going to say that Mansfield this season, being 2-0 down at half-time, changing it around in the manner that we did, ending up in the crowd, headlocked by a security guard, the scenes at the final whistle, all of those things, yeah. Without any shadow of doubt, I don't even know why I started on anything else. Mansfield or more.
Fantastic. In terms of, this is another one from Instagram, and this Sonny22 has asked, what's your match day routine? And to add to that, has that changed at all since you become head coach?
The answer to your question is no, it hasn't changed. My Saturday mornings are quite rushed, and I quite like them like that because to a degree, it takes my mind off the game. So get up, have breakfast. Not anything set, to be honest. Sometimes a bit of toast, sometimes a bit of cereal. Nothing too major or too big. Take my little boy football. So we leave the house at sort of 9:15. I'll take him down to where we've been running our soccer school for a little while. Sometimes I coach on it because, again, I've been doing it a long time. Working with kids is something that I'm always passionate about, so I love doing it. And at the same time, from a selfish point of view, it takes my mind off of thinking about the game too much. Because ultimately, by the time Saturday morning comes around, all of the work and preparation that I've put in is done, and all that time is extra worry time. So I either take him football or I actually coach myself. He finishes at about 10:30, 11. We jump straight in the car, head down the M11, and I get to the ground for about 11:45, sometimes 12 o'clock. Once I'm at the ground, I go upstairs, have a coffee with Martin. Slowly the staff start to arrive. It used to be for me filling in the team sheets, organising, make sure set pieces, all those sorts of things were done. But now the staff have got their each individual responsibilities around all of that, making sure that's all done. Match dependent, the players turn up either at 1 o'clock or 1:15. And what that does, it gives them a little bit of time to get there before, and if there's any traffic or rushing around, it can hopefully get them a little bit composed. It gives us time to do our match preparation meeting. Now, sometimes we do that on a Friday, but if we've had a Saturday and a Tuesday game in the build-up, I tend to try and leave that to a Saturday morning just to give ourselves a little bit more breathing space to make sure from a staffing perspective and from Joe and Charlie's perspective of analysis, they have time to get all of that ready. And we deliver that to the players when they arrive in the changing room. But most of the time, we try and get that done on a Friday. But that's the only thing that can chop and change. And then at 1:15, we have the mascots come into the changing room. So it's obviously a big part of the day, trying to make sure that that's a big and an exciting occasion for them kids or the people that are having that experience. And then after that, obviously the team sheets come in. So we have a bit of an overview on what the opposition are doing. Give that to the players, put that up on the board. That's not done by anything else other than writing it up and leaving it there. And then the staff crack on with getting the set pieces done, who's marking who's going up, who's staying back, the finer details. It's all done, but just then we can actually target it towards who's playing or not playing for the opposition.
Yeah.
And then I try and stay away from everyone. I go upstairs and I do a Q&A for the people that are on level 3. That for me takes my mind off of it, keeps me away from the players, gives everyone a little bit of breathing space, and then I have a little walk around on the pitch before everyone's back in, and the last little touch up and details is done to get everybody going for the start of the game.
Good stuff. And whilst you've got your, I guess, tactical head on, Richie Embleton's asked, who's the best left-footed Embleton?
Well, I think there's only one left-footed Embleton anyway, so he gets that award hands down. I can't think of another one unless my mum's got a secret wand of a left foot that she hasn't told us about. Richie will have to take that. Richie will have to take that award. It's not bad, though. He's not bad. I'll give him his due. He's not got a bad left foot.
Continuing on with a couple of ones from Twitter. Les K's asked, if you could have one player from any team in the world, who would you have?
Messi. Done. I think I'm a massive fan of Busquets in the same team. I love Ramos. If I look in this country, I'd love to jump at having the opportunity of people like Sterling or, Aguero, the front three at Liverpool, Van Dijk. All those players are fantastic, but I don't think we can look beyond the best player of all time, in my opinion, and that would be Messi.
You mentioned earlier you're watching Atletico Madrid. What is it you like about them?
I think I'm intrigued by Atletico because obviously they went to Liverpool and got the result that they did against Liverpool. They seem to get in finals and push the big boys in Spain on a fairly regular occasions when Simeone's been in charge. But what intrigues me is just how he gets his team. One, how he gets his team to defend in the manner that they do. But then at the same time, how we can get top players to defend the way they do. So for anybody that watched the game against Liverpool, they spent most of their game in their own half, like a lot of teams did against us in the National League, like we've seen a couple of teams try to do against us recently, where you clog up all the space, play really deep, and try to prevent anybody getting into any difficult opportunities to create chances. And it just mesmerises me how he can get Simeone, Griezmann, people who are top attacking players to do such all the the dogged work to such a high level. Like I said, so many people behind the ball. I thought they were very, very fortunate against Liverpool in the home game, in Liverpool's home game. But ultimately, sometimes you create your own luck, and him doing what he does with his Atletico team, it can't be a fluke. Every now and again you might come, like we saw in our experience in the National League, Maidenhead, Torquay, teams like that come and make it tough for you and nick a result every now and again. But for them to do it in the manner that they do, there has to be more behind it than just preventing space or just getting men behind the ball, which is what intrigues me.
Interesting stuff. Noah Warnes has asked on Instagram, back to the O's here, said, is there any reason that next season we can't push for the playoffs?
I think in terms of a very interesting conversation I had with someone this morning, totally away from Leighton Orient, but it was about coaching. A young coach that was doing a bit of a Q&A for one of his university courses was asking me about how I review and look back on my time. So I would say that since Christmas, since my position has been made permanent, there's been an upturn in our performances. There's been a recognisable change in the results that we're all about. Obviously, that can't be said across the season, and the season on the whole has been a disappointment. But like I say, since Christmas and since that appointment, I think we've become a lot better in terms of the way that we approach games. So I feel in terms of where we're at as a team, we're at as a club and a squad, a group of players and staff at the moment, there's no reason why we can't start to look and head towards having those aspirations. I don't think I've made any secret about wanting to try and finish this season in a strong manner if we get the opportunity to do that now. But it's been a massive focus of mine because I know how important that impact can be in terms of what it can do to us and where we can start looking once we come back. So I don't think there's any reason why we can't start looking towards that. But again, I think with the situation and the position we're in right now, is going to have a massive effect on everybody. So it's going to be very interesting how so many clubs, players, managers come back and approach the seasons or the remainder of the season, whatever it's going to look like once we're back at work.
Of course. We'll just end with a few more light-hearted ones, so we'll get your opinion on some of these. First one from Spice Albert, which caught my eyes. Does Ross know that Ross Embleton is an anagram of lemon sorbets?
No, I didn't know that. No, I didn't, is the answer to that. I don't know what to take of that. Is that a good thing? No, it's a good one. I'll use it. My kids will like it. I know my daughter's very keen on sorbet, so I'll let her know that in a minute.
Another one is from James, and he's asked, what's Ross's favourite flavour of crisps? I can imagine Ross being a cheese and onion man.
No, do you know what? I don't mind cheese and onion. I'm a big fan of salt and vinegar McCoys. But I think if you had my arm up my back and really asked me to make a decision, be cheesy Doritos.
Tangy cheese.
That's the one. Yeah.
Strong shout.
I'm not a big crisps fan, but I think if I had to really go for something, it'd be them.
So James is on the right path then with the cheese, just not
Yeah, he's on the right. Yeah, he's got. Yeah, I'm a big fan of cheese, to be fair.
Becca's asked, if you were lucky enough to be in the Papa John's dugout, what pizza are you going for?
Something spicy. Kent and I had a love when we've been on the coach after away games. Sometimes the boys have pizza in terms of getting their food into them as quickly as we possibly can. Anything with like jalapenos is something that we were always keen on. So I'd go for something spicy. I'm not a regular visitor or someone that's tried Papa John's over too much as upset as I'll probably make Nigel. But yeah, something spicy.
There's another food one. It's a simple one from Ryan. He said, Marmite, yes or no?
No.
No.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. Can't stand it.
Good stuff. Nino's asked, and this one's a bit more of a thinking one, I think. Would you rather be stuck in a room with a lion, a gorilla, or a yodeler who's just drunk 4 cans of Red Bull?
A lion, I think.
Overquickly with.
Yeah, I could take too much of the yodeling, it'd do my head in. Yeah, wear me down very, very quickly.
And then just one final one, switching back to Instagram. The question was about, I guess we can end this one as well on this one, was in terms of morale in the squad. Obviously, everyone's kind of separated at the moment, and as I think you said before, it's a bit surreal at the moment. But as a club, how is all the morale, and what kind of efforts are the club making to keep everyone as as happy as they can be?
I think morale's good. Morale's good in terms of the feel that I get from people and the conversations I have with people, either every day or every couple of days, or like I say, if I think I mentioned at the beginning about the interaction that some of the staff are having with players in order to make it a bit of an easier process rather than me having contact with 26 players and 10 staff. It's very, very, very difficult. So the morale, the feedback, the acknowledgement that I get from either it's personally or from other people in the staff around me is of a positive nature. So I feel everybody's in quite a positive and good place, especially after the fact that some of the illnesses have passed. So I think that was the most important thing. We obviously had that concern over our players and the people in and around that and their families. So to know that's on the mend and people are working their way back is a big part of that morale. But at the present, it feels like it's positive. I think the big thing for me, and it's exactly the same as it will be for everybody else that's sitting at home, not being able to go out to work every day at the moment, is the surrealness of it all, is how strange it feels when you do get out of the house. And I live in a little village, but you walk down the road, there's no one here. Or I drive into the nearest town, go to the nearest shops, and everyone keeps telling me how Tesco's is sold out. There's no one in my Sainsbury's. There's no one in my local supermarkets. It's just so strange. And then you pull up at one that has got people in it, and there's queues of people that are 4, 5, 6 yards apart. So I think it's so surreal for everybody. And then I think the last thing that this creates real uncertainty is when, what, and how does the end of it all look? It's so, there's elements of it, massive elements of it that are frightening for people that have got, my mum has suffered with some sickness, but again, we don't know whether it's related to the virus or it's just illness. And I think it's the real uncertainty that it causes will lead to, anxiety, and I'm sure some issues for us to have to pick people up. But so far, all the interactions that we're having every day with the players and with the staff are of a positive nature. And for as long as that's the case, I think we're in a good position.
Good stuff. Well, we'll leave it there, Ross. Thanks for talking to us this afternoon, and we'll catch up soon, no doubt.
No problem. Obviously, just from my perspective, stay safe, everyone. Take care. And if there's anything that myself or anyone at the club can do, don't hesitate to give us a shout, and we'll do everything in our power to make sure that we can help with that.